All right, we are live.
We are live.
Sunday devotional night, but we're gonna do things a little bit differently tonight.
Yeah. It'll
And
be devotional style
yes,
a little bit.
devotional-ish. Is that a word?
I don't know. Probably
Is
not.
that that's a word? Devotional-ish.
Sure.
And how you doing?
Good. It's been a crazy week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've started to get ready for whitetail today.
Mm-hmm.
My stuff was just a wreck. There was stuff everywhere. And then preparing for this elk hunt, there's
Mm-hmm.
just stuff like everywhere, and I was like, I need to get like, I mean, our the season in my where I'm from, our area opens up in like 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
Like, so I was like, I gotta just like get stuff organized, and but that took a lot of time.
Well, and I know how that is for you. Like you need your stuff
I
like
do.
set
I
and
do.
ready to
All right,
go,
so
which is good.
I'll tell you a little story
Hey,
about
Mike's here. Hey, Mike. Good
in
to see you,
my
man.
story about today.
Yeah.
So I've kind of always like kept all of my clothes and stuff in like a plastic tote um, for like scent control purposes. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it keeps the
Yep.
scent in.
Yep.
I've been doing that for years. I've kind of gotten away from like some scent control stuff. Like I just don't like I play the wind. Like I don't know. Like changed up the boots that I'm wearing, and I just don't care as much. Like if I'm not playing the wind, then I'm not going to hunt a certain spot. So
Yep.
I had this old dresser that we weren't using. So I threw this dresser in my hunting room, and I put all my clothes in it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's the greatest. It's got like the top sock drawer. It's got like the early season, the mid season, and then the late season drawers, and it's just so organized and it's just beautiful. Beautiful.
So are you literally just gonna get dressed in the morning and then like head right out to your truck? Like you just like whatever, I'm just gonna play the wind and that's it?
I mean, I'll still wash my clothes and stuff in stuff. I'll probably have like one tote that I keep stuff in for back and
Yeah.
forth, but I'm just not like I was. The
Yeah.
thing is, unless you're gonna like, you can't make any mistakes if you're gonna do that. Like, you could do all those things,
It's true.
and then if you like, you know, pump gas and then touch your face mask, well, you just blew all that other thing you did. So I'm gonna do some of it still. Like, it's just kind of
Mm-hmm.
ingrained in me, but
Yep. It's habit.
the yeah, having things more organized and just like ready to pick up and hunt and then come back and like just
Mm-hmm.
get it back in its place and then be ready to roll the next day. That's way more important for me at this point.
Yep.
So yeah, got my
I'm with
dresser.
you. I'm with you. I'm probably a little bit more about the still with the totes and everything. In fact, I got my stuff in the washer right now for Colorado.
Yep.
And but I'm not like as you know obsessed about being scent free in Colorado because you
Yeah.
can't be when you're living out of a tent for 5 days or 6 days.
No, you
Like,
can't. You can't.
dude, after day
Yeah, and
one, it's over.
if you don't play the wind, I mean, you're done. You're done. So
Yeah,
forget it. So
yeah, man. Let's
yeah.
dive in tonight because we posted what we're going to talk about tonight, and it's kind of like uh, it's a disappointment in so many ways, and then it's just this like evolving kind of experience, I guess you would say, and we'll talk about like what we mean by that tonight. But for those of you that are watching tonight, we have been talking about this Colorado elk hunt that we have been planning. So Dave and I both grew up on the East Coast, Pennsylvania, and hunted basically deer and turkey. Even though there's bear there, I've never hunted. I mean, never even hunted bear. So just whitetails and turkeys. And then I moved out to Texas and we had the opportunity to get into some hogs and started duck hunting and just open up the door in so many different ways. And we always kind of wanted to go out west and elk hunt. I think that's like, if you grew up on the East Coast, I think for most guys, that's like kind of like the dream hunt. It's like, oh, like go out, drive out to Colorado. And, for us, it's always been archery. So we committed to going on this elk hunt. We have these awesome friends of ours that, we've actually never met in person. So we were looking forward to meeting them in person. Jonathan and Steven, who lived down in southern Texas, and they were going to meet us there. They basically helped us organize this whole hunt. And in fact, Jonathan doesn't even have a tag. He's going to was going to call for us and everything. So we've been planning and packing, and my goodness, back and forth Voxers and bow setups, and there's just so much time and energy that's gone into this hunt. And like anything else, when you plan for things, like it doesn't go the way you exactly wanted it to. Like even as we're prepping, there's certain things like, shipping's gotten delayed on a lot of stuff. And so I was still waiting for arrows up until a couple of weeks ago, like just a lot of stuff going on. And, but not to a point where I think we were like, oh, like we shouldn't go, it was more like we're going, it's like that, right. That manly side of us was like, whatever happens, we're going to go, and we're going to be on a mountain in Colorado. And then a couple weeks ago, Dave Voxered me, and was it a couple weeks? Yeah, it's been a couple weeks now.
A couple weeks. Yeah.
You were at the cabin and you were coming home and you Voxered me, and you were like, I got good news and bad news, because Dave was having some issues with his boots too. He had bought a couple pair of boots and they were making his feet go numb after like 3 or 4 miles of hiking, which is not a good thing when you're going to be in Colorado in the mountains and you're going to be probably 5-6 miles in. No. Can't have it. And so he ordered another pair of boots. He went through that whole process. That was an ordeal in its own. And he said, I got good news and bad news. Good news is I hiked like 6 miles and I feel pretty good. Bad news is I was playing wiffle ball and I slid on some gravel and I hurt my hip. And I'll just say kind of like my immediate thought process was I actually thought back to because I remember you getting surgery, and I was like, oh man, like I wonder if that's the hip he got surgery on. Then realized you had surgery on both of them, right?
Yep.
And I was like, at first thought, I was like, oh, you probably just like bruised it or whatever. But I was like, man, we're so close to this hunt. Like, I hope it doesn't delay it. And then I'll just let you pick it up from there, and we can dive into the deep thought process of this whole thing. But then it was this waiting period. I'm still out there hiking and preparing, and I feel like, man, Dave's at home, like just waiting this thing out, trying to see if he's going to get better. And what does he do? Does he go get x-rays? Does he not get x-rays? So walk me through that, man. I mean, walk me through kind of like your perspective of everything and how we got to this place where, we weren't trying to the truth is you're not going now, right? And you're not going on the hunt. You have canceled the hunt, and I mean, I'm still going, but you're not going, man. So tell me where you're at. How did you get to that point? What is your thought process? How do you think? I think the most important thing is how's God worked? How's God working through this whole thing? Because that's, I think, the biggest lesson, or 2 big lessons that we've learned over the last couple of weeks, just talking through some of this stuff, is how strong our friendship is, how strong our connection is as brothers in Christ, and then also just how both of us have really had a bunch of situations in the last couple of years where we've totally surrendered to God and just kind of let him work. And that's kind of what's happened in this situation. So I'll let you kind of jump in, man.
Yeah. I mean, this is not just a live to talk about the fact that I'm not going on the hunt. There's a lot bigger things that we wanted to talk about, and just a couple things we wanted to touch on, just to maybe challenge some other people, but also encourage some other people too. So yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, I had a torn labrum on both my hips. I had surgery on both hips. That was quite a process, but I went through that. I wouldn't say I was ever 100% fully recovered, but I felt pretty good. Like, I was happy with the result. I was able to hike as far as I wanted and not feel pain, and that was all that I really needed to do. I used to play basketball, but I didn't really do that anymore. A lot of like cutting and quick movements tended to hurt, but like just hiking and that type of stuff, I was good to go. So I was happy with that. But when I was away, I kind of slipped and I felt it, and I knew it was related to that somehow. I didn't think it was like really bad, but I knew it wasn't good. And being 3 weeks out from this hunt, that is a hunt that we've talked about, every day for probably a year. We've been training for literally 100 days in a row. And something that we've talked about going on for and dreamed about for probably longer than we've talked about it, but we've been talking about it for probably 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, like, an injury that really was bad for me in the past is could now be back. And am I going to feel healthy enough to go? If I even do feel healthy enough, we talked about, what if I get out there and then I get permanent damage, now I have to go get surgery again, or we're out 5 or 6 miles and I tear my labrum and I can't put weight on my leg, like, then what? And there were just a lot of things, a lot of these thoughts, and I wasn't training at all. I took off for a week, and then I chose to take off for the next week, which would have put me 2 weeks out. And then I was just going to basically throw on a pack and go and see how it felt. And yeah, it was just a lot to digest. But the reason that we wanted to talk about it tonight was kind of how God's been working on other things in my life as well, and how I was trying to listen to him, but at the same time kind of just suppressing some things that he was trying to tell me. This was probably a month and a half ago. I just felt really overwhelmed with a lot of things that I was doing in my life. I have my hand in a lot of different things. I run my own business. I do the Rooted stuff. I help coach basketball, which is not going on right now, but that is a season of life that's 5-6 months long, 6 days a week. So there's a lot with that. I'm on the board of this nonprofit, and so I'm doing a lot of work with that. And then I host a Bible study every week, which is just takes time. And so it's just been a lot of things, and they kind of all were starting to come to a head, where I was doing a lot for a couple of those things. It was just becoming a lot, like getting prepared for this hunt and still trying to do stuff with Rooted, and my business is growing, and we're hiring somebody, and so there's just so much going on. And I felt God was just telling me that I need to slow down. It was just becoming too much, and that even though a lot of these things that I was doing, they're good things, if God doesn't want me doing those, if that's not in his plan, then I shouldn't be doing them. I think a lot of times for me, if I see an opportunity to serve, I like to go and serve and do it. But if that's not God's plan for me, then I shouldn't be doing that. And that's just the reality of the situation. My buddy, I was talking to my buddy, and he was relating it in like baseball terms, right? Like, we all want to be the closer. We all want to come in and close the game and get the last out and be the hero. But sometimes we just we're called to be like the lefty specialist who comes in and gets one out. And that's okay. Like, in a season of life, it's okay to take on that role. And then if God strengthens you in the future to then take on a bigger role and do more things. I know for me in the past, like, I've had so many things going on, but God's given me strength to do those. He said, look, I'm giving you all these, go and do them. And I feel like he was just telling me that these things are too much right now. Too much, you need to slow down. And then I started to think like I had an issue with like my boots, like you said. I've had a lot of issues with my bow. And then like I injured my hip, and it was almost like God was just telling me like how many things do I need to put in front of you to tell you like you shouldn't be going? And I continue to push them down because I'm talking about like a dream hunt, Colorado, like planning for it for months, training for it for months. I'm going, like I'm just going. And I finally just got to a place where I was like, I know what God is telling me, and I either need to listen to what he's telling me, or I need to just disobey what he wants for my life and do what I want to do. And I just decided that I needed to just follow his plan. I don't understand why it happened, to be honest. I don't know that yet. I don't know if we ever will know that. We might not. but I know that he's going to work through this somehow in some other way. And so I'm just trying to follow his plan. And yeah, it's been a lot to digest and to process that I won't be going. But I also feel like I have peace about it, knowing that this is what he wants for my life and it'll be okay. So that's kind of where we're at. Like it's crazy, but it's where we're at.
Yeah. It's nuts, man. But I told you the other day, it's like, while I'm like really, really disappointed and, that you're not going to be there and stuff. At the same time, like, it's cool to watch you obey and surrender and just listen to what you're being pulled in essence not to do. In some cases, a lot of people would push through, and I'm definitely one of those people. Like, I have in the past, paid attention, but in a lot of cases I don't sometimes, and I do push too hard and probably push past something that I'm, he's telling me to do something else or focus on something else. But it's not easy. It's like, it's not easy, but it's a good lesson, I think, good reminder for me and anybody who's listening. They might be pulled to be doing something else. You had mentioned, I don't know if you were going to share or not, but you had mentioned like you're doing so many things, like, but you feel like God's pulling you in like 3 specific directions that you're just feeling. Is that you still feeling that?
Yeah, I think so. I have all my hand in these things, but I feel like God's telling me to slow down and really focus on my business, the Rooted, and my family. I have a young daughter, and I want to prioritize that, obviously. And so that's kind of where I feel like he's kind of leading me. And I don't know what that looks like, because a lot of these other things that I do are things I love doing, and they're really good things. But it just might not be something that God has for me right now.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is really important, and I know, I'll let you tell part of this too, is to have people around you that will support you when you're following God's plan. Because as humans, we're going to be disappointed when certain things don't work out. Like, I'm disappointed that I can't go. I feel on certain levels, and I told you this, but like, I feel like I'm letting you down. I know you're disappointed from a human level that I can't go. We're not going to have this experience together. But at the same time, you're fully supportive because you know that I'm following God's plan. And I'll let you tell part of it, but back, I forget how long ago, when you moved to Texas.
17, end of 17.
Yeah, 2017. I remember when you told me specifically, I remember being on the phone, being like deflated, like, man, like we were getting momentum. We were starting to like really, start to get better at filming. We hunted every single hunt together, like every hunt together. We hunted together, which is so much fun. And then all of a sudden you're like, dude, like God's calling me to move to Texas. And I'm like, I didn't really know how to react, but I was just kind of blown away by your faithfulness in listening to what he wanted for you. Because on the surface, and I'll let you tell part of it too, but on the surface, a lot of it probably didn't make sense. You're like, I have my family here, like, we're starting this Rooted stuff here, but now you're calling me to do this. I know you prayed about it a ton, and then God made it clear, and you're like, dude, like, I gotta follow God's plan. And so when I was going through this process, I know this isn't like changing states. This is obviously a much easier thing. But I thought back to that, and I'm like, man, like, how faithful was he in that situation? Like, that encouraged me to just listen to God and be like, God, like, I just need to be faithful. And I knew that talking to you, like, you would understand, because I've seen how faithful you've been. You would understand like what that looks like. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but that was definitely something that was really impactful to me as I was going through this process, and just so important to have somebody that you can talk to, multiple people that you can talk to that'll understand from a spiritual standpoint, not just from a human standpoint, because a lot of times we're just with these situations, we're going to be disappointed from a human standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that vividly, even though it was, 3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember where I was at uh, on 476. I was coming up to the Mid-County interchange. And I remember I think we were voxering back and forth, and you had sent me a Voxer, and I had Voxered you earlier in the day, and kind of, I had asked you a couple questions, more of like from a practical human, like earthly advice type thing. And you had Voxered me back and you said, like, I honestly don't have, like, I don't remember exactly, but something like, I don't have those answers for you. But what I will tell you to do is just pray, pray with Jen and continue to pray, and you'll get the answers that you need. And it was weird because, like, I felt like we had almost been prepared mentally anyway. Because even though before I got offered the opportunity to come out here, we had already been kind of talking about it. Like, Jen and I had talked about the possibilities of moving to Texas. But when something like that becomes a reality, it's a lot different, and then you back up, and then all of a sudden the fear sets in, and it's like, but our family, like you said, our families are in Pennsylvania. It's like, it's crazy. It's a plane ride away. It's not it's not an hour drive, like that kind of thing. But I do remember, I remember you saying that distinctly, and we did. And, Jen and I prayed about it, and, he just keep telling us, you got to go. And I still, to this day, like you said, in your case there, one of the biggest reasons was, of course, to come out here and run our operations for Master Networks, which is a company I work for. But there's a bigger plan than just that, right? And I won't say just that, because it's a huge opportunity. It's a huge responsibility. But there's something bigger here in Texas, and I don't know what that is yet. But there's something else. There's more to that plan than just being, being the COO of a company. There's connections out here. There's something's going to form out here that wouldn't have formed if I was in Pennsylvania. Something's going to happen, and it's just being fully surrendered to that, which is hard sometimes, because the human nature of us is to try and force things that we think make the most sense, like logical sense, you know what I mean? And sometimes you just got to sit back and you got to go, man, I surrender. I don't know. I don't know what the choice is. I mean, since March, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on, what choices to make. And
for sure.
But a lot of it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely, it's tough. It's tough to be like taking iPhone photos and like texting them to you rather than having you be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not the same. I can go film and send you the footage, and you can put together an awesome film. But, it's not the same, because there's like, I think about like the first of everything, it's like, it's the first, and I don't get that back, with you. Yeah. So it's still disappointing from a human standpoint. There's still emotion there for sure, but like, I know that you're doing the right thing, and that that also warms my heart. Like, it makes me proud, that you're following that you didn't push it and go out to Colorado and something happens out there,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a plan there. There's definitely a plan. And, even your move to Texas, like, it certainly opened up opportunities for us. Like even just some of the hunting things, like we have like a duck hunt this year. I've never gone on like a real duck hunt. Like, we have an awesome duck hunt. I mean, you got to hunt the Hagerman. Like, what are the odds of that happening? And shot like I don't know, 7-year-old buck on public land in Texas. Like, just really cool stuff that's been happening. But I think we both know that there's more. And you've been there for 3 years, so even with this decision of not going on this hunt, we may never know what the reasons for that and what it, the ripple effect of that. But we know God's plan is perfect, and his timing is perfect always. And if we follow that, we can't go wrong. So we'll see, man. We'll have plenty more hunts in Colorado. I have a feeling after this one. I'm not worried about that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it'll stink to not be there this time. But I'm sure it'll be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time for sure. And I'm always, and some people, I would say most people probably aren't like this, but I'm also pretty, I would say flexible, but like, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to think about. Like I can bob and weave and pivot pretty quickly on things.
Yeah.
And, while it's going to suck to drive all the way up there by myself, like I've already come to grips with the fact that I'm going to do it and I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to stay we're going to stay in Denver. I'm going to stay in a different town on the way up.
Yeah.
And go a different way, because I'm not going through Kansas, so like the trip has already changed for me, and I've already like adopted what that trip's going to look like now, or from what I think it's going to look like, and that kind of thing. And while I obviously want you to go, I'm also going, okay, so God, for some reason, wanted me to go up. Like, we talked about, well, I don't want to get into what we talked about yesterday, but I'll have, like we were talking about yesterday, right? So I'll have 30 hours pretty much in a truck by myself. So like, should I be doing something with that 30 hours in the truck by myself? Right.
I'm sure. Yeah. There's a reason there. Like you said, we don't know what that is, but it's going to look different, but it'll still be awesome. And get to hang out with two awesome dudes that, I really would have loved to meet and hang out with. And, you'll get to hang out with those guys for a week, which will be awesome. It's just going to be you've never been to Colorado. I mean, it's gonna blow your mind. I mean, those mountains are just you're not gonna know what to do. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. I'll be like a kid in a candy store for sure.
For sure. But yeah, that was all we really wanted to kind of touch on tonight. But we thought it was something important to talk about, because I think that this comes up for a lot of different people, and a lot of times we'll do things that maybe God just doesn't have for us. And man, like I know you and I are both like pretty competitive, and like we just want to push through. Like I'll be fine. Like I'll just push through. Like, well, maybe God's trying to tell me something. You know what I mean? And so I think just as as hunters and being competitive, but whatever it is in our lives, we need to just be able to listen to his plan and not just be so fast and so sped up to a point where we can't even hear what he's saying. Like we're just so focused on what we want to do and where we want to go, and we're going there so fast, 1,000,000 miles an hour. We just need to slow down sometimes. And I know that God's speaking to me about that. Slow down. Not only just like pulling back on certain things in my life, but just even like just hunting. Like slow down and just enjoy where you're at and what you're doing. Every opportunity you get to go in the woods. So yeah, I don't know. It's just oh, did I lose you? Did I lose you?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, you cut out for a second. That you froze.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely not what I was expecting. But we wanted to just jump on and share and encourage some people in case maybe God's laying something on their hearts, but also challenge them that listen to what he's saying. Even if it's not what you want to be doing, you need to listen to his plan, because ultimately that's where you're going to find peace, and you're going to, his plan is just so much better than ours.
Yes. Slow down, listen, be grateful for the things that you do get to experience. It reminds me too of, not to go into that whole story, but like trying to think, Jarrett might not know, but the story of Hercules, you think back about like how that taught us a huge lesson about deer. You're obsessed with this deer for how many years? Like 3 years.
Yeah.
Dude, he's gone, man. He's gone. He was just a deer
Yeah.
If you think
And
about
this,
it, right? We don't even talk about them anymore, and it was
no.
such an important, to us, it was an important part of like our lives. Like think of like the nonstop chatter we had about this deer, and it's not a negative. I mean, if another deer came up again, we would talk again about that deer. We would look at it differently, but
Yeah, we
that's
would.
right. But at the same time, the reality is that it's just a deer and he's gone. I
He's
mean, we
gone.
probably
Yeah.
never see him again, but he taught us a huge lesson. If you sit back and you look at some of the things around you, there's a lot of lessons to be learned. If you just take time to sit back and go, okay, what's the lesson there? So I'm always looking for those lessons that God's trying to teach us through different things.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's all I got for now. Hunt's canceled for Dave. No Colorado. The elk are going to live to see another day for now from Dave's arrow. But next year I might be out there. We'll see.
Well, you know what's going to happen now, right? Your bow's going to be shooting perfect.
Your boots are going to feel great.
10 miles feel awesome. Everything will start coming together. The hip will feel great. Like 2 days into the hunt,
I'll take all of that. If that's the case, then
yep.
I'm in. Count me in.
Yep.
Count me in. So.
Well, I appreciate you sharing with everything tonight, because it's I know it's still fresh, and even though you're taking it well, like Jarrett said, you said you're definitely handling it well. Yeah.
Do my best.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I don't have anything else. So next Sunday's Labor Day weekend. So we will probably do one next Sunday. The next Sunday after that, and I'll be gone for the next 2 Sundays then, because I'll be gone, and then coming back that next Sunday I definitely won't be on. So
yeah, I'll get Nate on here with me.
Yeah,
Nate's got some stories too. Jeez. It's been a week.
The kid's been living in Tennessee for like 3 days, and he's already on a velvet buck. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah, it is insane. But,
which is crazy for you to even think about being in a tree stand right now with how hot it is here. I don't know how hot it is there, but it was 107 last week here.
No, yeah, it's cooling off here now, which is nice because usually this time of year is when like I start to get excited about deer. You get some cooler evenings and stuff, and cooler mornings, and then it's like, all right, like now we're getting into it. Although the first couple of weeks will usually pretty warm still, but
yeah,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Soon enough, man. Soon enough.
Yep.
All right, dude. Well, take care of that hip ears. I hope you feel better.
Yeah.
And we'll be back at it next Sunday. Keep me posted. Keep me posted on your progress. No more wiffle ball. Whitetail season, dude. No more wiffle ball.
Got to protect it. I got to protect it now.
All right, man. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in again tonight, and join us next Sunday as we'll dive back in probably to James. Took a little break from James. We'll dive back into James, and hopefully you guys got something out of this tonight, some value, and you'll start kind of taking a step back and thinking of some of the things in your life that might be telling you to do or not do, and where to focus your time and energy. So
for sure.
Take care all. Have a good week this week, and we'll talk to you next Sunday.
Yep. See you guys.